Good. All right. So to get those military absentee ballots voted is huge. If they are not all in by tomorrow, I want them counted. You don't penalize them. The mail-in votes and the absentee ballots that all of us have because of what's going on with all this crap. I don't think after today they should be counted. I don't want your vote not counted, but it's up to you to get your vote in early enough for it to get counted. There's no need for anybody to wait till this afternoon. I wonder who I'm voting for. I don't know how many people out there are really wondering who they're voting for. I think most people, it's pretty cut and dry. I vote for this person, vote for this person. So you got, what's up?
I walked 30 miles this weekend campaigning, and there's like half of the people don't care. Like half the people are either red team or blue team. The other half are just like,
yes.
I don't care.
But it's up to you to have gotten your vote in by today. There's nothing that kept you from getting. We have 2 week early voting. You can get your absentee ballot. Plenty of time. But we won't have all the votes counted by tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a mess. I really feel like tonight, I think it's just going to be a big mess. Because I don't see how it can't be a mess. But I want to make sure the military votes are counted. If you wait until the last second to get your mail-in vote in, I really don't feel sorry for you on that one.
UPS, FedEx, and the federal government all came out last Thursday. They said today is by 5. If you mail it today by 5, it will be in time. If you wait, it won't be in time.
Which
like you had.
There's nothing happening after 5 o'clock that's going to. I'm going to wait to vote again. I don't know. I'm going to see what happens. But anyway, I think tomorrow's going to be a huge mess.
So they're not going to announce who it is?
They're going to count ballots tomorrow. And they, okay, math people, all right? There are percentages and there are statistics and there are, I guess this word fits, algorithms where they can look at a certain percentage of votes that have been counted and say, okay, we're projecting that here's what's fixing to happen. I don't know. There'll be projections. And I think there'll even be some states that say, yes, Biden won this one or Trump won this one. But even there's going to be lawsuits and we didn't count these votes. I don't think either side is going to allow final results tomorrow no matter what.
Well, there's going to be a margin today if one of the candidates wins and one doesn't. And that margin might just suddenly appear with unmarked, non-postage stamped, non-verified signature ballots that nobody can say where they came from because there's no trace, but they're votes, so they have to count.
And if you're a Republican and that's a Democratic vote, that's a bunch of crap. If you're a Democrat and that's a Democratic vote, that's great. If you're a Democrat and that's a Republican vote, that's a bunch of crap.
I think it's a bunch of crap either way.
It's all going to be,
it's
no one is going to allow things to happen.
So I could vote right now and not sign my name and it would be counted as
You can vote as many times. You can send it in as many times because there's no verification.
There's going to be a lot of misdone votes this time. But there's a lot of misdone votes a lot of times. But I think it seems like it's possible a lot more right now than normal.
Well, so what are they going to do? So if tonight, let's say Trump wins by 500,000, what if in 5 days from now, 500,002 mail-in ballots that you can't verify get
That's going to be the problem.
Well, so that's stupid. What
and
do you
that's
come up
when
with this system?
And that's when it goes to the Supreme Court.
It's going to be, that's what this is going to be. I think this will be a huge mess.
November 3rd is the day.
Yes.
That's the final.
All right. Every state has a day where the counting is over, where it's certified. And for most states, it's 2 weeks.
The Supreme Court voted to count ballots and some states passed it just recently. Like Wisconsin wanted to do it till the 5th. The Supreme Court said no, it has to be on the 3rd.
I still think that's because people are
Oh, yeah. Go to soccer. cycle grades on the grade part. Put the thing on the grades and you'll slide.
Desiree, what aggravates me is that you know how it's red team or blue team? The blue team,
And then-
half of them just don't like the red team. They don't
There we
even
go.
support the blue
Yeah.
team. They're just like orange man bad, and that's why they don't even like
Okay.
Biden's policies.
And then
It's
on
just
the
like
top
president.
left up there, you
Like,
got your password.
I understand, like, I respect your point of view, but if you're an uneducated voter that just hates the other team, then what's the point?
There should be a little
Like,
square,
talk about
little
policy
rectangle
or personal beliefs or
above the
philosophy,
name.
but when you talk about orange man bad,
Oh, did you put retrieve data? And there's a pin.
that's right. Like, I called Brady Nelson on it the other day, because he's saying, like, I hate Biden. I was like, okay, but why do you hate Biden? He's like, yeah, exactly. I was like, well, you can dislike Biden for his foreign policy agenda, for his wanting to leave Israel and move the capital back. You can hate Biden for his socialist policy that he stole from Bernie Sanders, but you can't hate
He probably can't
a
even
person
spell
for being a person. You have to dislike their political philosophy.
You probably can't even spell Trump. Who are we kidding?
I'm sure he knows how to spell it.
Four-digit number. Save.
Here's you, TRU,
And
two
then-
N's and a P.
Mine, I just made mine up.
Well, so who presented that idea that the mail-in ballots did not have to be identified and verified that they were coming from actual missing people?
No.
Who brought that motion in?
Months ago, if it was in the House, the Speaker probably is the one that brought it.
No, why?
They need to be punished in reason.
Why would
She
they
needs
do
to be
that?
punched in the nose quite a bit. Why?
Why would they do that?
Because the same, okay, so in 2018, the Democratic Party wanted to nominate a justice, right? Like, put a justice on board. Then you had to get 60 votes in the Supreme Court to confirm, right? The Democratic Party said, well, we hold the majority and we're going to change it to 50 votes because they couldn't get 60. They had the majority to change the rule. Now the rule is 50. Now to get Amy Coney Barrett in, we only had to get 50 votes.
Doug can probably.
The Democratic Party changes the rules all the time. It's like part of their party format. So when this was introduced, because they wanted
We
in,
did that pin, and then
they changed the
on to the
rule.
right of
Because they
that,
gotta give them an advantage.
we'll
Instead
have something that says,
Instead
Mark
of,
is ready to post.
Change the rules.
well, like I just said, if there's a dispute, a lawsuit, battle, it goes to Supreme Court.
Highlight him.
And who holds the Supreme Court?
Right in the middle. It should be done.
Find peace in that at least.
All right.
That nothing.
Republicans will.
But I really am afraid that it's gonna be a mess in 2000, it really took a month, 36 days to figure out who the president was, and things weren't ridiculous like they are now. 36 days.
Have you seen the businesses already putting plywood up because the party of love often is so much the party of hate that they're afraid?
Yeah. But
Because
I would almost guarantee we won't know tomorrow. Now, what are the candidates trying to do, actually? They're not trying to win the election. What are they trying to win?
Electoral college.
States. They're trying to win states, because if you win states, you get the electoral votes. And they gotta have 270. So both of them are trying to win 270 electoral votes, and you'll hear about swing states, battleground states. Those are the ones that are, because there are certain states that are gonna vote for Trump, there's certain states that are gonna vote for Biden, and they're trying to get these extra ones to get the full 270. Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Florida's always one of them.
So the reason you don't hear about Biden supporters as much is because they're scared of the coronavirus or what? Because like you have impromptu Trump rally, like he doesn't even have to be there. People gather in support of him, and he's not even gonna be in. Like he'll be thousands of miles away, and there's a 95-mile-long caravan in Arizona.
Biden, trying to be completely unbiased. Biden is not polarizing. He's boring. You're boring. You might not like him, but he doesn't instill a lot of passion, pro or con. Trump, you hate him or you love him. There's not a lot of people that are kind of in the middle. So he doesn't, there's a lot of passion either way. I really think there's a lot of Trump people that don't want people to know they're Trump people. And that's really how the polls, a lot of the poll numbers showed Biden way up even a couple weeks ago. And some of the polls are starting to kind of close a little bit. I think a lot of it is, I think some of it's technology. Because last election, the polls were all jacked up. Like me, I don't get polled. I don't get questioned. There's no way for them to contact me. And I know most people have, but there is, I think, a lot of people out there that don't have the same sort of technology that most people have, and they're not a part of it. Does that make sense? So I think the polling numbers might be kind of off because of that. But also the polling numbers, I think, are not necessarily accurate because people don't, there is a lot of Trump people who don't want to say I'm a Trump person. You know, so I don't know that for a fact, but
when I knock on a door and it's in a really liberal neighborhood, they'll like look out their
Yeah.
window to make sure their neighbors aren't.
They don't want
getting
they don't
shot,
want you to
and
know.
then they'll whisper it like.
because we all want to be cool. We all want to fit in. We all want likes, right? Even more today, I think, than when I was a kid. We all want people to accept who we are and what we think, and what we like, you know, so we don't.
Cancel culture is a big part. I had a friend in San Antonio who wore his MAGA hat to school and he got jumped by 14 people and got hospitalized because he wore a MAGA hat. So cancel culture is great because the party of love is definitely ironic that they're the party of love.
Well, tolerance today is you accept what I think. Not you're free to have your opinion. It's if you like what I like and you accept what I accept, then you're okay. If not, shut your mouth and you have no right to speak. Kind of both sides. Okay, so let's do this really quick. I'm going to try to tell you some things I looked up. I took some notes.
I was about to say, well, I'd never punch a person wearing a Biden hat, but I don't think I've ever seen a person wearing a Biden hat.
You have the right to. I had to tell the kids on the bus yesterday. There were some kid was yelling, "Who's voting for Trump?" and "Who's voting for Biden? You're idiots!" I said, "Well, no, they have the right to their opinion, just like you do, or else you don't have the right to opinion. If they have the right to like Biden, you ain't got the right to like Trump." And here's like a fourth grader, so we didn't understand. They're trying to communicate logic with them. It's like an American.
I had a 12-year-old call me racist the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a bunch of other words, but she was this 12-year-old girl.
I'm actually going to, because I'm thinking about the test thing. I'm actually going to look at specific things here. Bureaucracy. Y'all heard of bureaucracy before? Red tape. What's about trying to cut through the red tape or bureaucracy?
Yeah.
I'm going to show you a picture. Has any of y'all's grandma or grandpa ever said, "Oh, it's over there on the bureau"? You ever heard that before from old people? Like your grandma or grandpa say, "Hey, it's over there on the bureau."
Mm-hmm.
Bureau is a big chest with all kinds of drawers and compartments and stuff. I'm going to show you a picture. I know you know what I'm talking about. I like to show pictures.
My grandfather's a first generation immigrant from Mexico. What are you talking about?
Now this is, you know those old roll top desks? And they got all kinds of little compartments here, and that's not the one I was looking for. Maybe this one. That's a bureau. So a bureaucracy. I'll tell you a story. I had to get my driver's license renewed. Was it this year? No, it was last year. And I have a CDL, so it's hard to get your driver's license renewed if you have a CDL. You can't just mail it in. You can't just go through a computer. I have to go. So I went at 6:30 in the morning. Opens at 8. I went at 6:30, so I'll be first in line. So I don't have time to do this. And I looked up what you have to have, because you have to have all this stuff. And it said sometimes you might be asked to have a birth certificate. Oh, well, that's dumb. I got to work. So I show up. They said, "Where's your birth certificate?" I said, "I don't have one." They said, well, you have to have one. I said, so I had like 3 days. No, I had like a week to get my driver's license renewed, or else it would expire, and I'd have to redo all the tests, so I'm ticked. And I figured getting a driver's license after September 11th is a huge ordeal. But getting a birth certificate is a huge ordeal. How many of y'all played select stuff and you had to have a birth certificate to play? Okay? When Pacer was 12, you had to have a birth certificate to play baseball. And we had to get it from Austin. We couldn't get it from Wise County. It had to be some official thing that cost $30 to play baseball. So I'm figuring to get a driver's license. This is when Christy calls. They said, she calls the driver's license people, and they said, no, you can have one from Tarrant County, that's fine. So it takes more to play baseball than to get a driver's license. How does that make you feel about America? Guess what I needed to show them to get my birth certificate? Driver's license. To get a driver's license, I had to take a driver's license to get a birth certificate so I get a driver's license. That's bureaucracy. It's just the complex offices and crap you got to go through and hoops you got to jump through to get things done government-wise. Does that kind of make sense? All the little drawers in the offices, that's bureaucracy. The book actually said complex structure of offices, rules, organizations that you have to go through sometimes. That's the red tape they're talking about. I don't know where they got red tape from. All right, I got to get glasses here. Congress passes laws. Golly. Told the bus this morning, this doesn't do anything. It doesn't protect anybody. But they say we got to wear it, and I can't afford not to drive the bus. And if somebody on this bus gets it, and I'm not wearing a mask, or you're not wearing a mask, I don't get to drive the bus for 2 weeks, and I can't afford not to do that. So we have to do this. I don't want to, but we have to do this. So Congress passes a law or a program. Healthcare law. You know, who is in charge of making sure the health care law goes into effect? Congress? They just say, here's what you got to do. Who's in charge of making sure this works? The executive branch. You've got the Health and Human Services Department. They're in charge, partially, of implementing the health care law. Who do they answer to? The president. The Department of Health and Human Services is one of the 15 cabinet positions. So the executive branch, the president, actually makes sure all these are carried out. And they implement all these laws and programs. A department or agency that puts the laws or programs into practice. On page 553, I'm going to read part of this. Like what the test was all from like book stuff and not definitions. This requires, Congress is responsible for making the laws, but in most cases, legislation, what's legislation? Stuff Congress passes. Now, if you go to some real college, they'll tell you some fancy word, and that's what it means. Stuff that Congress passes. No, it's not that. What is it? It is the various policies, but it's stuff, home slice. Just take the patches off your elbow and talk. Because professors always have patches on their elbows. I don't know why. I guess they do a lot of work and rub their elbows on stuff. Congress is responsible for making laws, but in most cases, legislation only sets the broad parameters for government action. Bureaucracies are responsible for filling in the blanks by determining how the laws should be implemented. This requires bureaucracies, and when I say bureaucracies, what are we talking about? The departments, the offices, the agencies that do all this. They are responsible for this requires bureaucracies to draw up detailed rules that guide the process of implementation and to play a key role in enforcing the laws. Congress needs the bureaucracy to engage in rulemaking and implementation for several reasons. One is that bureaucracies employ people who have much more specialized expertise in specific policy areas than do members of Congress. Decisions about how to achieve many policy goals, from managing the national parks to regulating air quality to ensuring a sound economy, rest on the judgment of specialized experts. A second reason that Congress needs bureaucracy is that because updating legislation can take many years, bureaucratic flexibility can ensure that laws are administered in ways that take new conditions into account. Finally, members of Congress often prefer to delegate politically difficult decision-making to bureaucrats. One of the most important activities that government agencies do is issue rules that provide more detailed and specific indications of what a given congressional policy will actually mean. For example, the Clean Air Act empowers the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, to assess whether current or projected levels of air pollutants pose a threat to public health, determine whether motor vehicle emissions are contributing to such pollution, and create rules designed to regulate these emissions. After the Supreme Court ruled in 2007 that the EPA had the authority to regulate auto emissions, the agency in the Obama administration imposed new emission standards for automobiles, which would raise the average fuel economy for new vehicles to 35.5 miles per gallon starting in 2016. A standard later boosted to 54.4 miles per gallon in 2025. Now think about that. What they're saying is, the EPA is saying you got to make cars that will go 35.5 miles to the gallon. And then they bumped it up to 54.4 miles a gallon by 2025. I can't invent new stuff. I can't think of new ways of doing stuff. What do you got to do to make a car get 54 miles a gallon?
Keep it low RPMs.
Okay, that, you can't have any power and it can't weigh anything. Now, there's probably some new technology that they can do. Well, some sort of electric car. Okay, I got some. What do electric cars? There's no gas emissions, right? Are they clean?
No.
No, not at all. They're just as dirty as gas cars right now. Because what do you have to do to make the electric car go?
Lithium battery plants.
You plug it in and get electricity. How do you get electricity? We burn fossil fuels. A lot of this stuff is feel good. Oh, I bought an electric car. I'm making a difference. No, you're not. You're not. Where are you getting electricity from? We got to find a way to make it to where we don't burn something. Does that make sense? Then we're really not. We're not. Anyway, I'm not an expert in that anyway. What about trucks? What about, I don't know if this applies to trucks, not trucks like mine, but trucks like hauling stuff. If that's true, what will that do to the price of lettuce, eggs, milk, bread, meat? Because you can't have these 18-wheelers making 50 miles a gallon.
Coach, y'all don't worry. We'll just raise the minimum wage, and now that will be okay.
That'll fix everything. That gets everything. I want this. I want clean air. I want clean water. You know, I just want to. We can't just, it happen. We can't want it to happen. It happened. We got to figure out ways to do it. Anyways, in 2014, the EPA extended its reach to regulate factories and power plants that emit greenhouse gases. Especially controversial was a clean power plan requiring power plants to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 32% by 2030. The plan never went into effect due to lawsuits filed by a number of states. And in 2017, the head of the EPA in the Trump administration repealed the plan. So you got these laws passed, and then these agencies put them into practice. And this president says, here's what I want you to do. And they start doing something. Then a new president comes in and says, here's what I want you to do. And so it changes. These rules change from administration to administration. Does that kind of make sense? Once a new law is passed, the relevant agency studies the legislation and proposes a set of rules to guide the implementation. The Clean Power Plan demonstrates the fragility of government by bureaucratic rulemaking. If Congress passes a new law, changing it usually requires another congressional action, which rules made by the bureaucracy in one administration can just be reversed by the next. About the merit system. Oh, let me tell you this one. This is kind of interesting. I know y'all are bored by this, but hey, that's my job. I'm a teacher. If you're not bored, I'm probably not doing a good job. A good case study of the important role agencies can play is the story of how ordinary federal bureaucrats created the internet. What became the internet was developed largely by the U.S. Department of Defense, and defense considerations still shape the basic structure of the internet. In 1957, immediately following the profound American embarrassment over Soviet Union's launching of Sputnik, you know what Sputnik was? It was a metal ball with antennas that went beep, beep. And we were scared to death because we didn't have a metal ball that went beep, beep. And if they can do that, they can eventually put a weapon up there and kill us all. It all starts with a beep. The first satellite to orbit the Earth. Congress authorized the establishment of the Advanced Research Projects Agency to develop, among other things, a means of maintaining communications in the event of a strategic attack on the existing telecommunications network. Since the telephone network was highly centralized and therefore could have been completely disabled by a single attack, ARPA, everything's got to have a name. Anyway, the American Advanced Research Projects Agency developed a decentralized, highly redundant network with an improved probability of functioning after attack. The full design, called ARPANET, took almost a decade to create. By 1971, around 20 universities were connected to the ARPANET, the forerunner to the internet. So all these little agencies come up with different technologies and different ways. They're the ones that come up with the ways to make things happen. The merit system was created by the Civil Service Act of 1883. With this act, the federal government attempted to imitate business by requiring appointees to public office be qualified for the job which they were appointed. Instead of the president just appointing somebody they liked to be the postmaster general, they have to take a test. Or to be, instead of just giving all these jobs out, people have to actually qualify for them. So that's the merit system, where you take tests and you have to qualify for the job you've got. Let's see.
Like you said, it also goes back to the endorsement stuff with delegates at conventions. If you endorse me, I'll make you
Yes. There you go.
security advisor.
All right, the departments, we talked about that. The departments is the 15 cabinet positions. That's like the Secretary of the State Department, the Defense Department, the Treasury Department, the Interior Department. Everybody know what the Interior Department is?
Infrastructure.
The outside. The Interior Department is in charge of the outside. National parks, federal land. It means the interior of the country, inside the borders. That's what the interior meant. So if you're in charge of the Interior Department, you're in charge of the outside. You don't decorate houses. You may have been in my house before. You know who does the decorating? Me. She does none of it. I did. Okay. There's a cow skull in the kitchen, and she put like a wreath around it. That's her one addition to the house. And I did take stuff she liked, but she doesn't know how to put things together. She can't put them together. I'm the one that puts them together. Hey, don't give a hand to Miss Gann. Don't give a hand to Miss Gann. First day I was here, I met Miss Gann, and she was in charge of getting everything done.
Never got promoted.
We haven't changed. We haven't changed one bit. You're limping, but that's it. I'm limping too. We're both limping now. We weren't limping then.
Verification.
Oh, okay. I will get it done. Thank you. She was doing drill team when I got here. And now she's doing drill team again. Let's see, what else we got? All right, you got all those departments. There's 15 departments. The independent agencies are not cabinet positions. NASA is not a cabinet position. That's the space people. CIA is not a cabinet position. The FBI is under the Justice Department. So the head of the FBI is actually under the Attorney General. The EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, is separate. They're not a part of the deal. There's government corporations. You know what a corporation is? It's like a business. All right? Amtrak. We don't have Amtrak around here. Amtrak, I think, is the only public train commute. Okay, we got American Airlines. We got Southwest. We got all these airlines. There's only one train line, I think, that you can ride to go places, and that's Amtrak. And it's owned by the government, but it's a separate thing that brings money in. So it is a part of the government, but it's not a private corporation, but it's its own little, brings money in and pays stuff. I think the post office is probably another one. because they bring money in, people pay for stuff. Amtrak loses money and the post office loses money. Billions. I think the post office loses $9 billion a year. But we really can't do without it. But if you put that in private hands, it would lose about $9 billion a year. Why would private individuals not lose $9 billion a year?
Because there's no red tape.
They couldn't. Well, they couldn't. If it's private, if we lose $9 billion a year, we're out of business. So either prices will go up or they change things to where they weren't losing that much. Independent regulatory agencies. What's regulatory?
The regulation.
They regulate, they check on stuff. The Interstate Commerce Commission looks and makes sure business practices are doing good between states. Federal Trade Commission, basically they make sure people's, like if you're advertising something, that what you say your product does, your product does. Making sure, just making sure your product, you don't say this product cures, if you want to lose weight, you have to eat less and work out more. You can't go buy this pill at the store or drink this drink and lose weight. I lost 50 pounds using it. No, change. I don't work out. Yes, you do. You know, it's not out there. People pay billions of dollars because they want it. I want this to work. And anyway, there's a little, you know how they say on the commercials, they talk about, you know, and the little writing goes by. They have everything there. No, this product doesn't work. You won't lose weight. There's no way. There's no way. They say all that, but you're going to lose weight. They yell that and they show it in big letters in the real side. This guy's lying. There's no way. They really do. If you slow it down, this does not work. It does not work. There's what's it called? They don't make sure things are safe. What's the thing? Oh my gosh. It's, I don't know what it is. There is another government agency that checks and makes sure that things, if they're used correctly, don't kill you.
FDA.
Food and Drug Administration, they do the food and stuff, but like products. Like on your hair dryers, it has a little picture of somebody in the shower using it, and it has a line through it that says, no, don't do this. It's because somebody did, or they're saying, don't do this because it'll kill you. Lawnmowers will kill you. They have a little thing where the hand goes in the hole, and it says, line through that. Don't put your hand in the hole where the grass comes out, because it'll cut your hand off.
McDonald's.
I do it every time. When I had the little push mower, because in the spring you get all the weeds, and it gets you mow, and it stops. And so while it's going, if it clogs up, I'll open the side, and I don't stick my hand in. I would just like pull the outside out. So I don't have time to stop and start it again. I'm not gonna put my hand. You know. I coached with a guy who was working at a factory. He was a quarterback, and his fingers were all the length of his pinky because he got them cut off in this factory. So all his hand was perfectly. His hand was that. All the fingers were the same length. But they were like this. And he's actually a quarterback. He finished his senior season with his hand all chopped off. Don't stick your hand in stuff that's moving. I told y'all about Blake Bryant. Y'all know Blake Bryant? Anybody know Blake Bryant? He's an intelligent guy. He's a very capable human being. Him and Katie Skogberg. You know Katie Skogberg? Also intelligent, very capable young lady. We were dumb and had the snow cone stand by the pool. And the opening day, Christy always thinks we ought to go to our kids' stuff so they think we like them. I'm like, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if we're there or not. Anyway, he was playing baseball. We had to go. And the opening day of snow cone season, Blake and Katie's running it. And we're like, Blake and Katie, yeah. Okay, they're more mature than we are. You know, they're going to do a better job than we would. Katie calls little Christy and says, Blake cut his hand and there's blood everywhere. I'm like, what in the world? How did he cut his hand? He was switching the ice out of the snow cone machine, and he'd left it on, and was just going in to get the ice out. Blake Bryant, smart, intelligent human being. I hope you're watching this, Blake. And he went to grab the ice and thought it just nicked off the end of his finger. So we had a sale on Tiger's Blood, snow cone. No. Blake's Blood snow cone, something like that. Isn't that funny? All right, public services. Public services. Actually, let me tell you this one. This is just for info. These are some of the departments that have to do with health and well-being of the people. The Departments of Housing and Urban Development, Department of Health and Human Services, Veterans Affairs, there's actual cabinet position there, Department of the Interior, what's the Department of the Interior?
The outside.
The outside. Department of Education, which needs to be taken out. The federal government is not to be involved in education. Local governments and state governments can run education. And labor, Department of Labor. So, the regulatory agencies, Food and Drug Administration is in the Health and Human Services deal. OSHA, you ever heard of OSHA? If you work anywhere, you hear of OSHA. When I worked at I used to work in the oil fields. We heard of OSHA all the time. They had OSHA meetings once a month, just to make sure we didn't hurt ourselves or hurt somebody else. Occupational Safety and Health Administration, and Department of Labor. Here it is, Consumer Product Safety Commission. That's the ones that check to make sure the products won't kill you if you use them right. So don't blow dry your hair in the bathtub.
Caution,
Water.
coffee hot.
Don't do that, unless you want to die, but don't do that. It's not your life. God paid for it, so you didn't buy it, so don't do that. EPA, Federal Communications Commission. All right, national security. What departments are in charge of national security? Department of Homeland Security. What else? Department of Defense. State Department. Justice Department. There you go. All right.
Second best.
We'll do some more Thursday. How about that? Hope that helps. Did you learn something today?
A little bit.
You learned Blake Bryant isn't the greatest guy ever? He is. He has some problems. Blake was actually our jump coach one year. Good track. He's a jump coach. He's smarter than I am. I've never reached my hand into a moving